Today we're going to be talking about stroke and the services that are offered to people who have had a stroke. I'm joined by Emilia Leslie and Issy Guggenheimer. Welcome, so nice to see you. And so stroke is one of the top three causes of people to lose their life. It's cancer, heart attack, stroke. Does that sound right?
There is a high mortality rate for stroke, absolutely. Stroke is absolutely a medical emergency, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we're encouraging community members to learn about how to identify stroke.
Well, that's a good place to start. How do you know, let's say I'm sitting across from somebody, how would I know that they are having a stroke?
So we look to be fast. So sometimes we look for fast. Face is our face drooping, arms, we can ask the person to raise their arms. Is there any weakness? S for speech, ask them to say something. Is there any slurring? And T for time. We know we need to call 911 right away. The B fast is looking at balance and eyesight. Because we know that because stroke is neurological and the brain is our control center of the body, we can have a lot of different symptoms when we're having stroke. Issy's shared a little bit about her experiences too, how her symptoms were different than fast.
Oh, okay. So Issy, you are a stroke survivor. Tell me what happened when this happened to you.
Okay, my first stroke was when I was 24. I woke up with my arm feeling like pins and needles, and that I didn't have, it was kind of numb throughout the day. And then later on it started where I had a really splitting headache, and that was with vomiting after. And yeah, that was with the first stroke. Second stroke, I woke up at 12, had to go to the washroom, got sick, and then that continued until about 4:30, and then 4:30 I woke up underneath a chair.
You know, at 24, it would never have occurred to me I may have been having a stroke.
No, I didn't know I was having a stroke either. I just thought my arm was numb, that I'd slept on it, and I had the pins and needles until I went to the hospital. And even then, they didn't know it was a stroke. They thought it might be a brain tumor or MS.
My God, scary as heck. But here you are. And then did you have subsequent strokes after that?
No, my second stroke came about 8 years ago. Wow. And it just came out of the blue, yeah.
So, Emilia, you say that's not the usual symptoms. Is that what you were saying?
Well, absolutely, a variety of symptoms can occur when we have a neurological event such as stroke. So we really want to learn those fast signs, but being aware there can be variations like that numbness or tingling or that nausea or the changes to sight and balance.
Okay. Another one I heard was, sorry, Issy?
I had the drooping of the mouth too.
Oh, well, that was something I'd heard somebody say, is you ask the person to smile. And if they can't, does that sound right, that they can't, only one side goes up? Okay. And then time, it is like call 911 fast. After that, what should you do? What should you do for this person? Get them to lie down, stand up, keep walking? What would I do then?
Some basic first aid and keeping the person safe and comfortable, depending on where you are or what resources you have to protect their head if they have fallen, where they are lying down, if they can lie down, if they're comfortable to stay sitting. It's going to be individual, but anyone can help. We don't need to be a doctor to recognize these signs or call 911.
Right, and they will, and tell them, I suspect this person has had a stroke, so that they get there really fast.
Exactly, Donna. Okay. Thank you for that. Because when we talk about the term time is brain, this came up at group recently because the longer we wait for treatment, that affects the outcomes of stroke. So we want to make sure the paramedics know that we suspect a stroke. for the reason why we're calling, so that they can make sure we reach the right place to get the right treatment.
Now, I had a friend, we've been friends for 30 years, and she suddenly got so nasty. I mean, it was a personality change that was, wow, really scary. I found out later she had a series of mini strokes. What is that compared to a stroke? What's a mini stroke?
Issy, do you want to take that one?
Mini stroke is called a TIA, and those are mini strokes. And with her personality change, it could have happened in a certain area where it controls emotions and stuff. Yeah.
And so that's,
Part of the stroke too, you will laugh uncontrollably or cry uncontrollably too. You could be looking at a commercial and just burst out in tears.
wow.
So that's all part of the stroke. So her being nasty is part of the stroke too.
And it's not necessarily a Hallmark commercial that you break out in tears, because they get me every time.
Oh, it could be. You could be watching somebody walking down the street and then all of a sudden you start to cry.
Oh, wow.
And it subsides as time goes on, so it doesn't stay that you're crying all the time.
So if you notice a personality change in a friend, someone you know very well, and it's an abrupt personality change, is that maybe time to say, you know, been to a doctor lately, you know, I'm just noticing some real changes here. Is that the way to handle it?
And you could do that.
Yeah.
It's a really great question, Donna, around TIA and personality changes, mini strokes, so also known as TIA, trans-ischemic attack. And those are called mini because they might be also a warning sign that a larger stroke may happen. So that's where the blood flow in the brain has been temporarily stopped. So there's different types of strokes. The TIA, a hemorrhagic stroke, which is like hemorrhage or burst, rupture in the blood flow. And there's also the ischemic stroke, which is very common, a clot or blockage in the blood flow. And when we have a disruption to blood flow in the brain, it affects our oxygen and can create brain damage. And so that's where some of these personality or emotional changes that you and Issy have mentioned, that can absolutely occur. And sometimes, Donna, that we can have these TIAs and they can be missed. And so we notice these effects after. So knowing about the different effects of stroke is also really helpful.
That would have been helpful at the time with this friend of mine, because I just started distancing myself and thinking, I don't need this. And it was afterwards that I found out what had really been going on with her. So get them to the hospital quickly. The faster you can get them there, the faster they can have they can have a complete recovery. Like Issy, I wouldn't have known that you had this in your background. So it's not that it's a continual thing, but is it because they got treatment quickly?
With my first one, well, it was because I was 24, so I healed properly. And at the time that I had my stroke, they didn't have the clot buster. Whereas now if you go into Emerge, they can give you a shot which will dissipate the clot or whatever. Okay. Or they even have something now that they can stick something in and suck the clot out. So when they do that, you'll have less of a effect after.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there wants to know more about recognizing the signs of stroke, or if they've had a stroke themselves and want to look into the services that you offer, how can they go about doing that, Emilia?
Oh, thank you, Donna. People can connect with us very easily. They can call us up for information or connect with supports. They can email us. They can also get a referral from a service provider on their behalf with their permission. And so it's very easy to connect. We're online. You can check us out on our Kingston Stroke Services Facebook page. We also have our web listing, the Southeast Healthline. It has a schedule of our groups and activities and our contact information there. People can connect ongoing or as needed for supports, resources, or connection with peer support as well.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, both of you, for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.